Good morning, we're back. It's the Art Corner. It's been a while, but we are going to do a really cool little project today. It's a little bird's nest. It's not spring yet, but this time of year you do see them in the trees because the leaves are gone. So I hope you enjoy this and I hope you try it on your own. I've got my paint on my little cheap paper plate palette, and this is a black canvas that I painted. But guys, you can get these already painted black at any art supply store. I went ahead and just did an acrylic black on this. There's something about a black canvas that makes your painting look kind of rich and important. So I want to challenge you to try to paint on something black. You'll be real surprised at the outcome. I've got a messy palette here. My red kind of spread out everywhere, but we're just going to make do. Haven't sketched at all, so I am going to do a little sketching first. We'll start from the background and work forward. Okay, I had this request from a few people to do this bird's nest. I did it for one of the antique dealers downtown, and a few people saw it. I put it on Facebook, I think, and a few people saw it and they said, "Oh, do that on your next art corner." So here we go. I did it for one of the dealers at Willow Creek and they just loved it. My mama loved it too. I probably will end up doing it for her birthday. But I just kind of want to get the gist of this. Brought my little kneaded eraser. I want to make this hole a little larger. Look here. It erases great on that black canvas. I think the dealer actually used chalkboard paint for her black background. And chalkboard paint is kind of muted, like this is. And it also has a clear coat that comes with it usually that you can apply when you get through. All right, this is just giving me an idea of where to start. Now this bird nest is in some leaves, so it's probably peak season. So I am going to put a few ferns back here. I am going to enhance the black so that they look distant. And it doesn't look so one-dimensional. It'll give it some dimension where this is forward and the rest of the background is far away. I'll do a big leaf or two right here. Those little birds, think about it. They get out there and create their own little home with sticks. I couldn't do it. And they raise their babies in it. And they live in it, and they sleep in it, and it's a pretty cool thing. We're going to see if we can at least draw one today. And I'm just using a number 2 pencil. Actually, it's a cheapo that kind of comes in and out by itself. I just kind of want to get an idea of where some things are going to go before I get started. Now, we'll do the little eggs in here. I'm not a bird expert. Maybe you guys will know what kind of a bird does the blue eggs. I have no clue. Maybe a robin. One of them will be kind of small because it's sort of in the background. Just kind of getting them on here. Let's make it a little deeper. Ta-da! Now remember, I always told you to spray it when you get through drawing it. I didn't do that, so naughty, but here we go anyway. I'm going to use a synthetic nylon brush to get rolling. And let's go ahead and start with black. And I want to get some black back in here. This might show up a little glossy on this flat acrylic, we'll see. I want to get my black on here, just sort of show the depth. I want to make it look real deep. Now I hope Mr. Red doesn't rear his ugly head. I have spilled it all over my palette. So it may end up being a pink bird's nest before we're through. We'll see. There we go. Red is so powerful. Doesn't matter what you use it, where you use it, it's going to be first. There we go. Now, I am actually going to do the little eggs first. I'm going to take my brush down a size And I've got a couple of different blues on my palette. This is your typical robin egg. We'll just base coat it in this color, and then we'll create some depth. I feel rusty. It's been a while since we've been on TV, so you guys bear with me. Then I've got some navy. Want to add to that blue. I'll tell you, an artist friend of mine did really large bird's nest canvas, and it gives it, the larger your canvas, sometimes the more contemporary your painting looks. It was fabulous. So, you know, if you really want a big contemporary bird's nest would be a great idea. I think somebody, you know, they just prop it up against a wall, or you can hang it. And you can make it real wiry and contemporary if you want to. We're going to stick with realism on this one. Won't be long, and we'll be seeing these for real. We're not far from that. There we go. We don't want them to all be exactly the same, because I think in life they're not going to be. Here's a little more black. I'm going to add to some of this paint. There we go. And they say it's good luck if you find a bird's nest at your house or on your house somewhere. That's just an old wives' tale, but anyway, they say it brings good luck. But have you also heard the old wives' tale that if a bird flies in your house, somebody's going to die? So, you know, people say a lot of stuff. Here we go. You're not going to see them all completely because they're nestled down in this little bale of hay. I just love seeing little birds with the little twigs in their mouth, running back and forth like they're working their brains out to get that nest built before those babies come. Now I'm doing a highlight on these with a little white paint. Blend it in with your blue. Let's solidify these a little bit with a little more black and brown. There we go. You know, they're kind of dirty. They're out in the weather, so let's make them kind of dirty. There we go. Come around, get my edges a little sharper. There we go. They're kind of a spa blue. They're kind of a green blue. Now, I'm going to leave that be for now. And we're going to kind of start with our twigs. This isn't going to be a long session because really a bird's nest is kind of easy to do. You want to get your dark twigs underneath and then put a highlight on them. So I'm using a little bit of burnt umber, a little yellow ochre, and just a little bit of black and white. And I just kind of dab my brush all over the place. And then we'll get started with our twigs. These synthetic nylon brushes are great for fine detail. And that's what these little twigs would have. Quite a bit of fine detail. I have been experimenting lately though with some sable brushes, the big thick ones. You know, I've never been a big fan, but I've been doing some portraiture and they work great to get the lights and the darks in portrait art. So, you know, keep that in mind. They really do have they carry a lot of paint is why. And you can just throw that paint on those portraits, background, etc., and it works really well. Now I'm adding some black with this. There are twigs back here, you just don't see them as much. But we want to make an inference of some dark, dark twigs back around these eggs. Now, let's get some okra again. I'm going to make it really a good size. Let's bring it on out. This one's kind of messy and cool. And you know what? A little piece like this, if you painted it, would be really, really good for a thank you note or an invitation. You can go have little cards made with a bird's nest, which is kind of generic and cute and everybody loves them. But this would be a real good subject for something like that. People don't send thank yous anymore, I don't think. They should, but this would be a great idea for a thank you note. Here we go. Now, it's coming together. I want to give it a little more depth, so I'm going to get back in here with some dark black and some umber. I'm going to change my brush size. This will also change my twig size a little bit. There we go. We really want it to look rough. And I'll tell you what, we can even get a stray or two up on that egg. That shows the eggs are in the background. It's hard not to go the same direction, but you don't want to do that because it'll look too contrived. Let's get it all different directions here. Now, guys, I'm going to leave that for now and let that dry just a little bit. And we're going to start putting some greenery in the background. Boy, I just contradicted myself, didn't I? I did that nest first thing. I just kind of got into it. Let's do some of this greenery in the background. Showing that it is in a tree somewhere. There's a fern over here. Then we've got a really bright leaf here. I'm using a lime green. Kind of highlight that springy looking leaf. And I've got some black in there too. We'll have to for depth. And then I'll highlight it too. Now this one's in front and then we've got another one behind it. I'm doing most of my drawing with my paintbrush. Right here. Aha, you see that red pop up there? That's what happens if you mix red anywhere on your palette. It will rear its ugly head. I like red, don't get me wrong. But there it is. Now this little leaf is behind the other one, so I want to draw it back there a little bit. And I'll show you how we'll do that in a second. Get my black. Let's do a vein here. Let's do a vein here. Now, I want to do a shadow on this leaf because it is behind. So I'm just getting my black and just blacking out really this part of the leaf. And this is really an easy piece. But you know what? I would love to see you guys do some things like this. And you've got to start somewhere. This is a real good little piece to start with. There we go. Highlight that side, and I'm going to highlight this side. I think that your light source on this is straight down this way. So you're going to have a highlight on this leaf right here. That's why that's such a strong shadow on that leaf. There we go. Hey, and let me just tell you what, portrait work is hard. So enjoy your little bird's nest. I think that portraiture is one of the hardest things you can do as an artist. But that's just me. Some people, you know, just have the natural ability and can just go with it. But I'm really learning. And it's a lot easier to do a pet portrait than it is people. There we go. But I'd like to get good at it, so I'm going to keep practicing. All right. Getting back into my green again. I mean my black again. I lost my shadow. There we go. Let's get it back on here. My vein, get it back on here. And just remember, guys, it's just paint. Don't be afraid of it. It's not going to hurt you. You can always paint over it. If you're too uptight when you're creating something, it's going to look uptight. So you really need to relax and enjoy your piece as you're working on it. That's part of the fun. Part of the therapy. There we go. I'm going to add a little interest to that one leaf. He's kind of boring. Let me bring him up right there a little bit. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to leave this alone for a minute and let's get into our ferns some more. I've got sort of a Kelly green and I've got a lime green and I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre. Not much because that's kind of with our bird's nest. We want to keep the two separated. But that nest is sitting somewhere, so we want to make sure you can see. Ferns are easy to do. Just get your brush with an angle, find a stem, and just pull each little leaf like this. Just pull it. Here we do it again. As it turns, so do your leaves, okay? Oop. Here we go. Turn it. Turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. They look like little eyelashes. Let's get some black on them. Give them some depth in here. Remember, you're working on a black canvas, so don't do too much black, it'll go away. But that is the purpose of some of this. I want this to look deep. So you can add black and it helps it go back further. And you know what? There's something, a black canvas just looks rich and important. It really does. I know your colors really stand out. You can black out your mistakes real easily. Now let's get back up here and let's do some more fern work. Just take it and pull it like that, real easy. We've got another leaf too. It's right over here. I'm gonna make him a little smaller. There he is. Let's not forget him. I'm gonna green him in and we'll come back in detail in a minute. Okay, get back up here in my fern and pull like this. See how fun? There we go. Going to add, once again, I'm adding some black to give it some depth. Want it to kind of go away a little bit. My bird's nest is going to be forefront. This is just showing the foresty area that it's sitting in, okay? Now this one I really do want in background. So I'm starting with black and adding my green. I'm not through with this area. I'll come back. I'm just kind of flitting around a little bit. All right. I want this one to go kind of in the back. I can see it, but if it dries, it'll go away. So let's get a little color on here. This one I really want in the background though. There's a few more leaves back here too. So I want to add a few more leaves. These are smaller. A black canvas is beautiful varnished. So when you get finished with your piece, go over it with polyurethane or an artist varnish and it just pops. See another leaf? Okay. I'll darken that up, make them a little more sophisticated looking too. Let's have this one coming down and up. There we go. Yeah, and these birds kind of hide their little nests in the spring. You don't really see them until the leaves are gone. Then it's a magnificent little piece of architecture in your trees. I think the birds are ready for spring. I've been opening my back door and I can hear them. They're loud right now. I think they're kind of over this weather. There we go. I don't mean to flit around, but I just have to kind of sometimes step back and look at it and it'll tell you what it needs. We need another fern here. And I've said this before, but getting up and walking away from your piece, I'm not going to do that right now, and then coming back in the room and looking at it from a fresh perspective will also help you. It helps you be able to see immediately, oh, that's too dark, that's too big, that's too round. It really does help you get your perspective correct. Okay. This is the substantial branch here that the nest is probably sitting on. Let's get these background ferns. I'm going to use the black. I want this one truly to be in the back. So I'm not going to use much green for this area at all. I'm just going to use a little bit of the green left over on my brush, just a little leftover, because I want this to be way back in the back, okay? I want you to be able to see it, but it needs to be kind of a shadow. It can even be messy because it is going to be way back in the back. There we go. There we go. And then these are up front, so they have more color. Still not happy with this leaf. I'll keep working on it till I like it. You got to remember, guys, I'm doing this in a short little time segment, but you've got all the time in the world, and I recommend you use it to make your piece look the best you can. And time is your friend. Don't hurry through a piece. A fast artist is not a good artist. Don't hurry through your piece. Make sure you take the time you need to make it look really good. I rush through these little segments, but you do not have to. All right, now this one is hanging out in front of us here. These are so much fun. I'm going to get into some umber. Make this one a little woodsy. There we go. Now, you see how that one's in the background now as it's drying? You can tell. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be off. Now these I don't. I want these to be kind of up front. So we're using a really light green up front like this. This is lime almost. Add a few highlights here. Watch me flit around. Going back to this leaf. He's on my nerves. There we go. This one's in the background. There we go. Now we're starting to see a nest and nestled in the tree here just a little bit. Now I'm going to get back into those branches on that nest too, but I kind of wanted to get him established. Once again, I want this part way back here so that it looks a little more sophisticated. I want it darker on this black canvas. I'm going to do a couple of unusual leaves back up in here using umber only and leftover paint. You'll see them, but you won't. There we go. Off in a distance. Now, seems like there is another pretty close right here. Let's get one pretty close. Right here. Because it's pretty close to the nest itself. Once again, I'm using a lot of lime and Kelly. Now I'm going to let that dry a minute and let's go to town on our leaves, on our nest just a little more. Aha, I saw that red again. Clean my brush. Here is my umber. And I want to make some unusual little twigs. This is the part where you really want maybe to see some highlights. So you can actually get your white in here. Okay. I want to drag some more branches down into the leaves here. Yellow ochre and burnt umber. Let's highlight. I'm giving a little white on the edges here. I mean, why do it if you're not going to have a little pop? But once again, your light source is here. So your highlight should be right in this area. Now we're going to make this nest a little twiggy. It's going to be kind of ratty down in this area. Get a little black. Bring it on down. I want it underneath some of those ferns. So I'm going to get it down under here too. It's pretty deep. So we want to get it underneath here a little bit. Birds aren't the neatest things in the world. I'm sure you know that. So they're going to have a little rat to their bird's nest. That's what we want. See a little rat. That'll make it look more realistic. All the little twigs are not going to be perfect, so let's bend a couple. Throw one or two back on your eggs. Now, if there's something you don't like, get your black. Go back over it. You can turn your brush this way, and that helps sort of scruff up some of that nest. There we go. There we go. Now, let's work on our eggs a little bit more, and we'll change brushes. This is a finer brush, smaller, and I want to get a little detail on these eggs. That is what the nest is all about. I guess they sleep in them too, but mainly it's the babies. I tell you what, squirrels, have you all seen the squirrels' nest? They are huge. I'm going to bring a little bit of the black. I mean, they have like little apartments. Looks like little condos. Get dark down in here. That brings it on down into the nest some. They're kind of dirty. Now I want to add a little more white. Highlight the edge of those little eggs. Now if you make it too perfect, it's going to look kind of childlike, so make it look arty by making it kind of rough. There is a highlight on this one. Now this is acrylic that I'm using today. I meant to say that. But these things do great with oil paint as well. I've seen a lot of my students do oil with these eggs and they do wonderful. Oil is more forgiving than acrylic. You can shove it around longer. It stays wet longer. I'm getting too much color. Let me get a little bit of this navy. Soften down some of that some. There we go. Some more black. Give it some more depth down here. Now you can speckle them too. We can do a few little dots on here. Some of the bird's eggs have little teeny dots on them. I swear I'm gonna wear an afro. I sound like Bob Ross. Now, just kind of making them sort of irregular, but have a little pop. I hope y'all are trying some of this at home. There we go. I'm gonna add a little more dark. But you see how rich this black canvas? I like a black canvas. They sell them already. Now you don't have to do them yourself. They're very popular. Now, don't give up on me. I want to get some more branches on top of some of those eggs so that they're in front again. Here we go. Now, that helps them look behind. There we go. Listen, you can go crazy. Do a little more green down here. We're just about through. Get my vein on these leaves over here. You know, these have been on my nerves the whole time. Right up here. There we go. There we go. Now I'm taking my brush and I'm just kind of adding a little bit of tit and tat, as I call this. Just a little here and there. Just filling it up with a little color, maybe a little abstract here and there. We've got a bird's nest. I am going to do a couple more pretty strong highlights. Let's just dip it in the white and the yellow. And let's go real strong, just a spot or two. Make sure your brush is dry or your acrylic won't stick very well. Here we go. Very lightly, very thin. We want a few highlights so your nest is forefront. There we go. Okay. I'm going to get a little more black back in this area. Oop, diddle squat. Hang on. Here we go. A little more black. Make that go deeper. Back in here. There we go. There we go. Okay. I think we're really pretty close to finishing. If I could ever like these leaves. Darken this just a hair. Get the shadow on that one. Do a little bit of a shadow here. Like I say, I've got just a few minutes. You all have all day. Get started on it. Spend the afternoon playing with these leaves, playing with your bird's nest. It's a lot of fun. Watch me, I just can't quit. Here we go. I'm going to add a few more little scragglies over here. Here we go. More scragglies the better. Now. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Add a little drama. Ta-da! Isn't it cute? Thank you all for joining me today on the Art Corner. I'll see you next time.